3000.
What a double play by Ozzie Smith.
Leaps up and makes a great catch. Kenny Lofton takes a home run away from Tim Salmon.
3,000 for Robin.
That drives in 100 and 101 for Dave Winfield.
Sports Illustrated presents Inside Baseball 1993. 1992 was the year the Toronto Blue Jays brought baseball's first World Championship to Canada. It was the year Barry Bonds won his second MVP and then defected to the West. It was the year Dennis Eckersley hit the awards jackpot in the American League. Coming up, Sports Illustrated will look back to the special moments and shining stars of 1992 and will forecast the 1993 season. With more than 150 players in new uniforms, including some of the game's biggest stars, who knows what will become of last year's winners, losers, and up-and-comers. Now, a look back and a look ahead. First, to the 1992 American League Championship Series. Winning their first ever pennant, the Toronto Blue Jays finally overcame their past playoff performances. And they did it against an experienced Oakland A's team that had the best reliever in baseball. But in Game 4, Dennis Eckersley could not stop the Blue Jays from undoing a 6-1 deficit.
That series was really teetering at that point. If Oakland wins that game, there's no telling what happens.
Runner at third base. Alomar represents the tying run at the plate.
Dennis Eckersley is the best relief pitcher I've ever seen and perhaps the greatest reliever in the history of the game.
And a drive hit to right field. Sierra going back, looking up, and this game is tied. Roberto Alomar.
When you do something like that against a pitcher that great, it takes the rest of your team and says, we can beat this team because we just beat this guy. They won the American League for Toronto.
I think Eckersley's little league gesture to us really inspired the boys. You know, he wheeled and swore and looked at us and all that crap that you do when you're a little league kid. And it came back to haunt him today, and we couldn't be happier.
In the National League playoffs, it was do or die for the Pirates, who tried to stave off the Braves and win a pennant before getting cleaned out by free agency.
This is what many people feel is their last chance to go to the World Series before they lose these players.
The Pirates unraveled in the ninth inning of Game 7 and were finally undone by pinch hitter Francisco Cabrera.
This last man on the team who batted 13 times in 1992 could come up. If he strikes out, the game's over, and the Pirates are in the World Series.
Swung line drive left field. One run is in. Here comes Green. Here's the front of the plate. He is safe. Braves win. Braves win. Braves win. Braves win. Braves win.
They were just looking at each other like, you know, did this just happen? And that hog pile at home plate while Andy Van Slyke falls down in center field as if he'd been, you know, shot by a sniper. It was just Greek tragedy for the Pirates, and on the same field in front of these Pirates who are being tortured is one of the great moments in the lives of these guys in the Atlanta Braves. It's just almost an impossible thing that happened.
We're set to bring you the 89th World Series. It's the Toronto Blue Jays visiting Atlanta to play our Atlanta Braves. Braves having beaten Pittsburgh to get to the World Series. Toronto having beaten Oakland.
Here you go.
Good. Berryhill, the deep drive to right. On the way to the wall, Winfield, forget about it. Well hit to left field. To the wall, Deion Sanders, home run at Sprague. Off the bench with a pinch hit, two-run homer. First and second with nobody out in the fourth. In a scoreless ball game. First pitch to Justice. Well hit to center field. Devon White racing back to the warning track. Great catch up against the wall. And the runners passed each other. Pendleton went by Sanders. He has already been called out. Now they have Sanders in a rundown with a chance for a triple play. Gruber did not get him. Pat Borders puts the Blue Jays on the board with a home run off Tom Glavine. Jimmy Key works another 1-2-3 inning. The Blue Jays win, and they lead the World Series 3-1. High in the air and well hit to right field. Carter to the wall. Grand slam, Lonnie Smith.
Smith's homer brought the series back to Atlanta for Game 6. For 8.5 innings, the tension was unrelenting. Then with the Blue Jays 1 out away from a world championship, Otis Nixon stepped to the plate.
2 on, 2 out. And it's all down to Otis Nixon. Here it is. Swung, ground ball, base hit left field. Blows her around third. Maldonado's throw. Terrible throw. Wild throw. The Braves have tied the game. Unbelievable.
2 innings later, looking for World Series redemption, Dave Winfield stepped to the plate against Charlie Lebrand.
2-2 the score with 2 men on, 2 outs. The runners go on the 3-2 to Winfield. Down the line, a base hit into the left field corner. White has scored. Alomar comes around. It's a 2-run double for Dave Winfield. And a 4-2 Toronto lead.
The Braves made it 4-3. And then down to their final out. Again, it was Otis Nixon. 2 runners on and 50 million people watching.
Nixon bunts. Timlin on it. Throws to first. For the first time in history, the World Championship banner will fly north of the border.
Right above the Jumbotron, unveiled 1992 World Champions. Toronto Blue Jays, stand up, give them an applause. We won, noise. I love you.
Now to the American League East for a look back and a look ahead. In 1992, the division had its share of great moments.
The crowd will tell you the story. 1-2 the count. He doesn't have a handlebar mustache. He's got a beard. And now he's got the all-time save record. Jeff Reardon.
A gargantuan night for Danny Tarnable. 5 for 5 and 9 runs batted in.
Center field, Ferris back to the wall, looks, and it's over the top. A line shot, home run for Cecil Fielder. His 100th run batted in. He joins that charmed circle.
With wholesale changes in the offseason, the world champion Toronto Blue Jays may no longer be living a charmed life. Dave Winfield led an exodus out of Toronto, mostly due to free agency. Gone were 3 starting players, 2 starting pitchers, and their closer. What they got may or may not be enough to make up for what they lost.
I think their losses have been offset by their acquisitions. I think Paul Molitor is a better hitter than Dave Winfield. He's probably a better clubhouse presence. People won't believe that, but he is. And he's just a better all-around ball player. They still have some question marks at shortstop and third base, and nobody knows if Derek Bell is for real. But I would say Blue Jays are the class of the division.
Here we go.
But the Milwaukee Brewers came on strong and turned into last year's surprise team.
This is the man that's made it all happen for the Brewers this year. Scrap iron. Phil Garner. How you doing, Gar?
We've taken the approach, hey, do it. The first thing you're supposed to do when you're on first base is figure out how you're going to get to second. And then when you get to second, figure out how you're going to get to third and do it.
No Brewer did it with more flair than Pat Listach. Phil Garner loved what he saw in his new shortstop. Listash stole 54 bases and won American League Rookie of the Year honors.
I was really stunned at how good a player this guy was. And the most important thing about him, he's an extremely bright kid who just bent Paul Molitor's ear all season about how to steal on this guy and where do you position yourself on this guy. And I think that's a very important part of baseball.
What's important to the up-and-coming Brewers is dealing with the departure of 16-game winner Chris Bosio.
1, 2, 3, hop. 1, 2, 3.
Losing Chris Bosio is a very big loss for the Brewers, and they haven't replaced him. If they had Bosio, they would have the best pitching in the division.
Problematic, too, will be how to replace Molitor. He was an institution with the Brewers for 15 years.
They went from a real solid contender to a team that has really got to find somebody someplace in order to get him back in the hunt.
The Orioles were in the hunt last year. The combination of Camden Yards and outfielder Mike Devereaux was largely responsible. Devereaux had a knack for turning batters' dreams into nightmares. Example number 1, Chad Curtis.
That I try to get a hand on the wall to actually pull and jump at the same time. With Chad's, I missed the wall. And if you see it, you can see my hand went down and missed the wall, so I had to like get a little extra oomph in me to get over the fence to catch the ball. But I actually didn't realize I caught it until after I came back over the fence and I knew there was something in my glove. So it kind of threw me back over the fence. I kind of messed up, but it turned out okay. I think my best catch had to be against the Toronto Blue Jays against Joe Carter. I didn't believe it was going out at first. The ball seemed to carry like it usually does in this part of the ballpark. And I just came right here. I didn't have a chance to grab the fence at all, so I just took a leap for it, jumped off both feet, and happened to go over the wall and make the catch. And unfortunately, there was one of the fans that was a little too close to the fence, and my glove caught a little bit of his face, but I'm sure he didn't mind that. He got in a lot of the highlight film, so it was a lot of fun.
Not every Devereaux effort turned into gold. Just ask pitcher Ben McDonald.
What's the score?
It's 5-4. Baltimore's winning. 2 outs. Frank Thomas at the plate.
To a curveball hit deep to center field. Devereaux back.
Devereaux goes back. Running back, gets a good job. Gets in the glove and throws it on the fence for a 3-run home run.
2-run home run.
2-run home run.
On the track, jumps. Cannot make it. Off his glove. Out of here for a home run. Yeah.
Out of here. 2-run homer. No chance of winning. I'm out of the ball game.
Wait. How many runs did we score that game? Like 9?
His great season is a big reason why the Orioles contended. And I really believe that stadium is a reason that the Orioles got off to a great start. Everyone was so excited about being there that I think it lifted their play. And I think that's an amazing thing for a stadium to be able to do that.
Things weren't nearly so exciting at Yankee Stadium in '92, but come this season, there'll be lots of changes. George Steinbrenner's back, and maybe the Yankees will be too. In a busy offseason, they acquired pitchers Jimmy Key and Jim Abbott, shortstop Spike Owen, third baseman Wade Boggs, and outfielder Paul O'Neill, all of which figures to make a big difference.
I think the Yankees are the most improved team in the division, and I really think they're going to contend right until the end. I see Toronto repeating in the AL East, and I see their biggest challenge coming from the Yankees, hard as that may be for some people to believe.
As for the rest of the American League East, there seem to be holes everywhere, especially when it comes to starting pitching.
Once again, the Red Sox, they don't seem to get it. I mean, they have an overload of outfielders and DHs and first basemen, and who they acquire, but Andre Dawson and Evan Calderon. They really have to address the other parts of their ball club, pitching.
Detroit's pitching just doesn't cut it.
I think if Charles Nagy could pitch every other day, Cleveland would be a contender, but their pitching is just too weak to even be a factor.
Now for a look ahead and a look back at the American League West. In '92, there were moments and milestones to savor.
Pitch is inside, Tettleton throw, and he is in safely with number 1,000.
Juan Gonzalez has taken over the Major League lead. 43 round trippers.
Griffey, 23 years old, and he's been in 3 straight All-Star games.
That's well hit to left. Bonds on the run, looking up, and it is gone.
That's wide.
The division's jackpot prize went to Dennis Eckersley and the Oakland A's. While Eckersley won the MVP and the Cy Young Award, teammate Mark McGwire rediscovered his power and led the A's with 104 RBIs and 42 home runs. And nowhere was his power more impressive than at the All-Star home run hitting contest.
Mark McGwire with 28 home runs of the Oakland Athletics. Number 1 for McGwire.
Uh-oh. There we go. Yes. Yes.
2.
What do you think?
He gonna hit 7. You gonna hit 10? All right, 10. Yes. he got that kind of swing, man. Take his swing. Yes. See ya. Yes. Stay fair. Stay fair. Yes. 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 We might be here all day. Joe, we might be here all day, Joe. Throw him low, turn it. Yes. Another one. Let's go make it. Yes. Look at the boy. Look. See ya. Sit hard. Yes. This one's gone right here. I got a call. See ya. You guys, I knew it was gonna be a low pitch.
Here comes McGwire right after him.
Gee! Look at that one. Gee! One more.
And now for a new world record.
Get out of here!
While McGwire won the contest hands down with 12 homers, the A's hobbled to their 4th division title in 5 years.
It was the best managing job I've ever seen, what Lewis did with that ball club, with the injuries that they had, with the disappearance of Jose Canseco.
All the rumors about Ruben Sierra changing uniforms, he has. He's going to the Oakland A's for Jose Canseco.
Holy cow.
It was a great quote he had at the end of the season. He said, I got a little tired of the Oakland A's clubhouse. All it was win, win, win. Obviously, that's the point of the game. And if Jose can realize that, then the Rangers will benefit. Otherwise, I think that the A's have a terrific plan in Ruben Sierra, who offset what Canseco would have given them.
The A's signed Ruben Sierra and Mark McGwire, but they lost Mike Moore and Dave Stewart, which makes the division all the more interesting.
There's no great team in this division, yet there are a lot of teams that are contenders. There are at least 5 teams that you could look at and say, well, I think they could win it. To me, the Rangers are a team that you look at and you see spectacular players all over the place, whether it's Canseco, Juan Gonzalez, Julio Franco, Rafael Palmeiro. But they have too many holes on that club right now to be considered a top-flight team. To me, if they get one more starting pitcher, they can win that division. If not, I think they're going to struggle and be, in that 6-game out range. They did re-sign Kirby Puckett, who is the heart and soul of the team.
There would have been 5 people attending the games in Minnesota next year if they didn't re-sign literally the most popular person in the history of that state.
The Twins also enticed Dave Winfield to come back home.
I'm not here for these couple of years, at least, just to hang on and hang around. I'm gonna kick butt. I'm gonna play good baseball.
The revamped Royals picked up shortstop Greg Gagne, second baseman Jose Lean, and they signed big-name starting pitcher David Cone to a 3-year, $18 million contract. Also on board, switch-hitting outfielder Felix Jose, which means that Kansas City could be getting some much-needed run production.
It'll be interesting to see what Luke Piniella does. I think he'll fire him up. I know Charlton's going to help him, but I just don't think they have the horses. California, I think, is one of the saddest situations in baseball. I mean, even now I'm beginning to doubt the genius of Whitey Herzog. He just keeps acquiring over-the-hill guys, and I don't see the Angels making any progress at all.
Now to the strangest foul ball episode of '92. David Hulse rejected a baseball adage and instead hit him where they are.
He gets fisted and fights it off toward the Angel dugout. Strike one. Got folks moving.
I think he's decided he's headed for the night.
Yeah, he's gone.
See you guys.
Again, slapped that way. Same spot. Uh-oh.
It's in your holster now, buddy.
Yeah, that's right. Ray with the 0-2 pitch. Same spot almost. That's it.
Oh, mercy. How about one more?
Still 0-2.
I tell you what, if you could do that in fair territory, you could hit 400.
Oh, easily.
Pick a spot right up the middle.
That's right. 3/4 empty Angel dugout. There's one between the white lines. Luis Arcina throws out David Hulse.
Well, I think it's safe.
Now to the magic kingdom of baseball's hit men. 19 years after their rookie seasons, Kansas City's George Brett and Milwaukee's Robin Yount hitched one more star to their brilliant careers.
To me, they're both, right now, first ballot Hall of Famers for what they've done. Those two guys were the best story overall of 1992.
The 0-1 pitch. Swings, and there it is! A base hit in the right center. He's done it. 3,000 for Robin.
He has 2,999 hits. Tim Fortuno's pitch ripped on one hop off over Belt into right field. George Brett with a 4-for-4 night in Southern California has his 3,000th hit. He ties Roberto Clemente for 17th on the all-time list.
In terms of quality of play, I don't think there's that much difference at all. Brett seemed to have a little more fun with the game.
This is a two-part joke. I need some help. But you got to say, when I take a drink of my coffee, you know, we're both sitting at the restaurant having a cup of coffee. So let's take a drink of our coffee now. Now you say, boy, George, this coffee tastes like mud.
Boy, George, this coffee tastes like mud.
It should. It was fresh ground this morning.
Never really got the feeling that Robin enjoyed the game the way George did.
Guys, this is Robin Yount, center fielder for the Milwaukee Brewers. Robin, it's been a pleasure playing with you over my career, and we understand you're approaching a milestone, and we just wanted to see how you felt about that.
I'm not sure how I feel about it, actually.
That's Robin Yount.
Flip over their baseball card, and you look down the line. George Brett's been with Kansas City his entire career. Robin Yount's been with Milwaukee his entire career. Talk about 3,000 hits being a rarity today. Talk about playing your entire career with the same team being a rarity today. Well, the combination is almost unheard of.
Looking ahead to 1993 milestones, Dave Winfield enters the season within reach of 3,000 hits. Andre Dawson is one home run shy of 400. And who knows how many more record strikeout king Nolan Ryan will break as he pitches for the Rangers in his 27th and final season. And as of this winter, Reggie Jackson has been awarded a new title, in addition to Mr. October.
Jack Lang called and said, Reggie, this is Jack Lang. You're no longer known as Reggie Jackson. You're now known as Reggie Jackson Hall of Famer.
Reggie played his last game on the last day of the 1987 season, a day in which he reminisced as only Reggie could.
I would compare my career to a farmer. You planted a beautiful crop. You got up every day at 4 in the morning and you went to bed every night at dusk. It rained when you wanted, sunshine when you wanted to. And when you loaded up your truck and went to market, prices were at an all-time high. On the way home with an empty truck and a pocket full of money, you'd be smiling.
There's a long drive. That one is going way up. It is off the roof. That hit the transformer up there.
Reggie Jackson, for my money, is the reason that the Hall of Fame exists, for characters like this.
Stop sweating. Relax. Relax. I'm not going to treat anyone any different. I don't care if you're 5 or 95.
His charisma was so magnificent that you could never deny this guy the Hall of Fame. There was enough wall space in Cooperstown to accommodate Reggie's plaque.
There it goes. Home run number 500.
I gave respect to the game, and I'm taking that with me. I got respect in the opposing dugout. I got respect in my dugout. I can't ask for anything more than that, right?
I miss him. I really do. I've missed him the last 5 years, and I think baseball misses him.
Now we'll look back at the National League East in '92, and a look ahead to '93. In 1992, the division had its share of great moments.
Fly ball, left field and deep. Back is Gant against the wall, out of here. Home run Eddie Murray, and it's home run number 400 for his career.
And Carter, from the top of 1-2, has put the Expos into the lead. Holy cow, what an emotional moment here in Montreal.
Bonds with a deep drive to center field, and it is out of here. For the second time in his career, Barry Bonds is a 30-30 guy.
The Pittsburgh Pirates may have won a third straight division title in '92, but having lost key players, including Bonds, Jim Leyland has his work cut out for him.
I had to ask him the same questions this spring. How are we going to do it again? And he's said, I answered the same questions last year. We'll see what happens. And you feel like he's going to pull something out of his, cuffs or something, and there they'll be again in September. I don't know how they're going to do it. They seem to have lost everybody but Andy Van Slyke in center field. They have Tim Wakefield, the knuckleballer who fooled everyone last season, and I think if they do a little more hocus pocus, they'll be there at the end.
So might Felipe Alou's Montreal Expos. Last year, they went from last place to runners-up, thanks to a superb trio of left fielder Moises Alou, center fielder Marquise Grissom, and right fielder Larry Walker.
I think they're the early favorites for this season, and I think people will find out this season that they played baseball in Montreal.
Strangely enough, I think the team that did nothing last year is going to be the team that's going to win, the St. Louis Cardinals.
One thing the Cardinals don't have to worry about is their shortstop, who continues to amaze.
And it's a line on one hop. There's the Wizard. Somebody send him a memo that he's 38 years old.
And that is assist number 7,000 for Ozzie Smith. He is among the elite.
So is the Cardinals' other Smith, Lee, who's had more than 40 saves each of the past 2 seasons. If the Cards are healthy again, and if the two Smiths are on a roll, St. Louis could challenge.
I would say it'll be the Cardinals and the Mets. I can't believe the Mets were that bad last year. I really can't.
Coleman looks like he might have pulled a hamstring.
Looks like the right rib cage.
It's got to be that finger.
Yep.
There was a movie in the 60s called It's a Mad, Mad World, and they had every comedian in the world in this movie. I mean, it had to be the funniest movie ever, but it wasn't. It wasn't the funniest movie ever. It wasn't even vaguely amusing, even though they had all this talent. And that's sort of what the Mets were like last year. It's a Met world.
I would only think that they can only go up, but I don't think they can go very far up, frankly, because I don't think they have the ammunition to do it.
But in signing shortstop Tony Fernandez, the Mets infield figures to be much improved. And in this division, there's no clear favorite.
This is the weakest division in baseball, and that's why 5 teams do have a chance in this division. And that's astounding that you could even consider the Cubs to have a chance, albeit outside.
Indeed, even without Greg Maddux and Andre Dawson, the Cubs say they're legitimate. As for last year's last-place Phillies, they did little in the offseason, and yet the competition just may be weak enough.
In this division, you don't need that much to win. This is a division that could be won with 87 wins, so you don't have to be a great team in this division.
2 teams probably not thinking pennant are the Eastern Division Florida Marlins and the Western Division Colorado Rockies. At last November's expansion draft, the National League's newest teams picked their players.
But the first selection in the first round, the Colorado Rockies have chosen right-handed pitcher David Need. Florida in round 1, number 2 selection, Nigel Wilson.
Before going any further, it was time to consult a former master for the definitive guide to player selection.
You ought to start at the catching department and go on. More, they have to stop the ball or you'll have all wild pitches.
Catcher Joe Girardi.
And if you get down to second base and shortstop, you have to have a double play combination.
Second baseman Brett Barbary.
And if you get out to center field, you have to have a man that's established to know how to go and catch the fly ball.
Outfielder Alex Cole Jr.
Teams like the 1962 Mets, comedy of errors and things. I think you'll see some better play than that. They're not going to lose 120 games like that Mets team did, but they're not going to win a lot either.
I would certainly expect that our fans can see a ball club that's aggressive, they play hard, they run hard, they do the things that fans come out to see them do.
I think in 5 years we have a chance to have a competitive ball club. We can be competing with anybody in our division. I think it's an exciting proposition for all of us to be here and be part of it.
Let's go to work.
Now the silliest, strangest, and side-splittingest bloopers of '92.
Crew's gonna catch the ball and let it drop.
Young's going, there's a pitch. Oh, the throw hits the pitcher.
What's the matter with Johnson? Got a toothache.
Wait a minute, you lost a tooth.
How do you throw so hard that your teeth fall out?
Timeout called by Fletcher, and the ball is thrown by Lewis at home plate umpire Tim Cheetah.
Watch how quickly Blue Jays hitters swing in this inning against Greg Cadaret.
There's one swing. Strike 2, 1 and 2. Well, that is one of the strangest strikeouts you will ever see.
Now to the National League West for a look ahead and a look back.
Say, can you see by the dawn's early light?
First, some flashes of brilliance from '92.
Kevin Ruddy in the strike one pitch is hit in the air to shallow left. Webster's got it. No hitter for Kevin Gross.
Sheffield's had a fabulous year.
McGriff tries to park one. Back-to-back shots by the Padres. Sheffield makes another bid. McGriff making a bid, and he too has hit his second home run of the game.
The 2-2 count, and there's a line drive and a base hit. Biff Roberts has tied the National League record. That is his 10th consecutive base hit. He's the first National League player to do it since 1943.
But in 1992, it was the best of times for the Atlanta Braves, who rolled over the division with a season of clutch performances.
There's a drive, deep right center field. Nixon goes as far as he can go. He caught the ball! He caught the ball! I can't believe it! What a catch by Otis Nixon!
They can score runs, they can hit homers, they got guys who can run, they have a good infield defense, they do a lot of things correctly, they have a great manager. Talent is why the Braves win.
Atlanta's talent centers around the best starting pitching in baseball. But if having 3 potential 20-game winners wasn't enough, the Braves added last year's National League Cy Young Award winner.
An organization like ours, which for years has demonstrated its appreciation of great pitching, made an extraordinary effort signing right-handed pitcher Greg Maddux.
I think there was a collective thud of a lot of general managers hitting the floor in their office as they passed out, because that's an obscene pitching staff that they have now.
It's just phenomenal how good their starting pitching is, given how poor the starting pitching is on so many teams in the Major League.
Right-hander, left-hander, right-hander, left-hander, it's ridiculous. There ought to be a law against that.
The team that figures to give the Braves the most trouble is the Cincinnati Reds, whose owner Marge Schott was given a 1-year suspension by her fellow baseball owners for making racial and ethnic slurs. One of Schott's last acts as principal owner was the managerial hiring of Tony Perez, a former member of the Big Red Machine and one of the most celebrated players in Cincinnati history.
I played for the Cincinnati Reds a lot of years. I had good years here. I didn't talk much, but I can act. And I think you will know a different Tony Perez as a manager.
Reds fans will also get to know a different outfield this season, now that Kevin Mitchell and Roberto Kelly have joined the team. If they can produce enough power and speed, Cincinnati could turn into a serious contender.
I think the Reds are the second best team in baseball right now. I really do. I think they're even better than the Blue Jays. I really like what they've done signing John Smiley. They have the second best rotation in the game next to the Braves, so I think it'll be a good race in that division, but I just think the Braves are a little bit better than the Reds.
The Houston Astros figure to be a whole lot better now that new owner Drayton McClain Jr. has forked over almost $40 million for free agents Doug Drabek and Greg Swindell.
The new ownership has loosened the purse strings a little bit, and that's a much improved team. A much improved team that was vastly improving during the second half of last season. But again, it may be a 450-foot shot between the Braves and where everybody else finishes in that division, because the Braves are so good.
Still, the new owners of the San Francisco Giants loosened their purse strings and paid $43 million for superstar free agent Barry Bonds.
You pretty happy to have something to agreed upon here?
Yeah, very happy. Glad it's all over.
The agreement will make Barry the best paid player in the game. It's a lot of money, but there's only one Barry Bonds.
It was great for me to feel that I can go home again, and the only thing I've ever wanted to do is share something with my father. My father and I have done so much in the game apart, and everyone talks about family traditions, and we're the prime example of family traditions, and it was something that I wanted to go home and share with my father.
He is definitely the best player in this game, and he has been for 3 years. But he's not good enough to carry the Giants out of the mess that they're in right now. They have very weak starting pitching overall. And if you look beyond Barry Bonds, Will Clark, and Matt Williams on that team, there isn't a whole lot left for offense. So I just don't see them being a contender in this division.
Contention may also elude the Padres, who have a trio of big stars, but vast holes in between.
The Padres have always been a team driven by stars. You know, they have these great ball players, but they never seem to put it together. And I think that'll be the case again this year.
Except for rookie Eric Karros, the Dodgers had a woeful 92 season. And things don't bode especially well for 93. Then again, you can never underestimate the motivational powers of Tommy Lasorda.
Where's the ball? He's out!
Now to a moment in time that time can't erase. Suffice it to say, Kirk Gibson will never forget this play.
There goes Gibson. Bouncing ball, hit and run. It bounces off his helmet. Gibson coming to third, and they have him in a rundown. Walker running Gibson back to second. Salazar lays on the tag. Yes, they say he got him. Can you believe that play? The ball hit Gibson's helmet as it was sneaking through the infield.
The Pirates go to the clubhouse immediately after the game, and Andy Van Slyke puts in a videotape. When that play happened, Steve Stone, who's announcing the game for the Cubs, says,
and the fact that Kirk Gibson doesn't have a lot of hair probably aided the Cubs.
and Van Slyke rewinds it, plays that again.
And the fact that Kirk Gibson doesn't have a lot of hair probably aided the Cubs.
And he keeps replaying it and keeps replaying it.
And the fact that Kirk Gibson doesn't have a lot of hair probably aided the Cubs.
And Gibson's over sulking in the corner at this.
Kirk Gibson doesn't have a lot of hair.
And then later Van Slyke said, score that play 7 1/4 to 6 to 4 to 3.
Unbelievable.
By the way, Gibson retired and then unretired, going back to Detroit, which puts him among the more than 150 players in new uniforms this season. Well, now that we know who will be where, the final question is, where will they all finish?
In the AL East, I think the Toronto Blue Jays are going to repeat.
And I think they'll win it rather handily at the end.
And I think they'll face
a repeat of last year's playoffs.
Oakland again.
In the National League East,
the Expos.
The St. Louis Cardinals.
But I would pick the Expos.
And the Atlanta Braves will repeat in the National League West.
I like the Braves to beat the A's in the World Series.
The Jays against the Braves again in the World Series. This time the Braves win.
When you can throw Maddox, Avery, Smoltz, and Glavine at you, and then bring in Peter Smith as your fifth starter, I just don't see anybody beating that 5.
Bobby Cox can't possibly win with this bunch now that we've done that to him.
Hard as it is to predict what will happen in 93, you can be sure of a season full of excitement, great action, and the unexpected.
Schofield reaches it, makes a behind-the-back flip. They get the force throw to first. It's in time.
McRae is back, and it is caught.
Larkin, force play, and there's that acrobatic athleticism by Barry Larkin.
Kenny Lofton racing after it, leaps in. He brought it back.
That's off the leg of the pitcher. Look at this play by the catcher, Harper. Holy cow, what a play.
There goes Harris on a ground ball. Alisea to second for one. The double play. What a double play by Ozzie Smith.
Bien frappé, cette balle, elle tombe en lieu sûr. Après un rebond récupéré par Walker. Le relais arrive.
Oui.
Attends! Le retrait, 9-3.
And he hits it hard. Walt Weiss knocks it down, goes to second, on to first. What a play! Fastball hit hard off the mound. Great play by Houston. For a double play.
What a play.
There they go. There they go. There it is. One. There it is. There's two.
Unassisted triple play.
He got it.
And Trey tagged him.
Lofton on the move to the warning track of the wall. Leaps up and makes a great catch. Kenny Lofton takes a home run away from Tim Salmon.